If the Earth were to suddenly stop rotating, it would have disastrous consequences for our planet and its inhabitants. The rotation of the Earth generates a centrifugal force that helps to offset the force of gravity at the equator, causing the planet to bulge out slightly. If the Earth stopped rotating, this bulge would disappear, causing the planet to become more spherical and changing the distribution of gravity. The Earth's rotation is one of the most fundamental aspects of our planet's existence. It has a profound impact on everything, from the weather to the distribution of gravity. But what would happen if it suddenly stopped? Welcome to a new episode of Imagine That. Hope you're doing well. Today we will discuss Imagine that the Earth stops rotating. Before we start, make sure you hit the subscribe button with notifications turned on to get notified when we update videos like this one. Let's find out. The Earth spins on its axis as it orbits the Sun. Would we notice if the Earth stopped spinning? To begin answering this question, consider how fast the Earth rotates. To complete one rotation in 24 hours at the equator, where the circumference of the Earth is approximately 40 million meters, the surface must move at a rate of more than 400 meters per second. As you move away from the equator and towards the poles, your speed decreases. However, wherever you are on the surface, you will travel at a nearly constant speed over time. So if we are moving at this speed, why don't we feel it? Because you and everything around you are moving at nearly the same speed and are held firmly in place by gravity. You don't feel the motion. However, if the Earth suddenly stopped spinning, we would all be plunged eastwards, making us painfully aware of its previous rotation. If, on the other hand, the Earth gradually stopped spinning, the effects would be more gradual as well. We would notice that the days and nights were becoming longer. Our circadian rhythm would be disrupted, our weather patterns, which are influenced by the rotation of the Earth, would begin to change. Technology that's reliant on satellites in orbit would encounter difficulties. Geostationary satellites, for example, maintain the same position above the equator by synchronizing their orbit with the motion of the Earth. They would no longer appear stationary in the sky above us, making the telecommunications and weather monitoring system that rely on them impossible to maintain. We may also lose our magnetic field and all the benefits it provides, such as protection from harmful radiations, because it's thought to be linked to our planet's rotation. The Earth would eventually become tidally locked with the Sun, with one side subjected to continuous daylight and heat from the Sun's rays, while the other would be plunged into eternal night, becoming extremely cold. Both would be detrimental to many forms of life. Life forms that photosynthesize or rely on photosynthesizing organisms for food would perish on the dark side, causing a mass extinction of life on Earth. Weather patterns and ocean currents would be fascinating as a result. Indeed, the transition zone between the two sides, day and night, would be fascinating. It's a favorite theme of some science fiction writers. Is it possible that the Earth will eventually stop spinning? The Earth's rotation is slowing over time, but it's only a very subtle change that adds about 1 second to the length of an Earth day every 50,000 years. What causes the Earth to rotate? Before we explore what would happen if the Earth stopped rotating, let's first examine what causes it to rotate in the first place. The Earth's rotation is the result of several factors, including the planet's initial angular momentum from its formation, the gravitational pull of the Sun and the Moon, and the conservation of the angular momentum as the planet's mantle and core move. This rotation has many consequences, including the Coriolis effect, which influences the direction of winds and ocean currents. This effect helps to distribute heat around the planet and plays a crucial role in regulating the Earth's climate. The sudden change in the distribution of mass would have several effects on the planet, including triggering earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. The Earth's crust is in a constant state of movement, and any sudden changes to the distribution of mass could lead to a release of energy in the form of earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. This could cause widespread devastation, with buildings collapsing, landslides occurring, and volcanic ash covering the surrounding areas. What would happen if the Earth stopped rotating? Now that we understand what causes the Earth to rotate, let's explore what would happen if it suddenly stopped. The consequences would be catastrophic and widespread, affecting everything from the weather to the distribution of gravity. Firstly, the sudden stop of the Earth's rotation would create enormous tides and waves, leading to massive tsunamis that could cause widespread devastation. The ocean currents would be affected, causing changes in water temperatures, salinity, and nutrient availability, which could have significant impacts on marine ecosystems and the fish populations that depend on them. Secondly, the centrifugal force generated by the Earth's rotation partially offsets the force of gravity at the equator, causing the planet to bulge out slightly. If the Earth stopped rotating, this bulge would disappear, causing the planet to become more spherical and changing the distribution of gravity. This sudden change in the distribution of mass would have several effects on the planet, including triggering earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. The Earth's crust is in a constant state of movement, and any sudden changes to the distribution of mass could lead to a release of energy that's in the form of earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. This could cause widespread devastation, with buildings collapsing, landslides occurring, and volcanic ash covering the surrounding areas. Thirdly, the absence of the Coriolis effect would result in extreme weather conditions, such as violent winds and hurricanes. The Coriolis effect influences the direction of the winds and ocean currents, and it's disappeared. These natural phenomena would become much more erratic and difficult to predict. Fourthly, if the Earth stopped rotating, one side of the planet would be in perpetual daylight, while the other side would be in constant darkness. The boundary between these two areas would experience extreme temperatures, with the daytime side becoming unbearably hot and the nighttime side becoming frigidly cold. This area would be uninhabitable, and the planet's climate would be severely disrupted. Another effect of the Earth's sudden stoppage would be changed in day and night. One side of the planet would be in perpetual daylight, while the other side would be in constant darkness. The boundary between these two areas would experience extreme temperatures, with daytime side becoming unbearably hot and the nighttime side becoming frigidly cold. This area would be uninhabitable, and the planet's climate would be severely disrupted. Before it completely turned into a desert planet, things would get a little shaky. If the core suddenly stopped rotating, the tectonic plates would violently slam into each other. It would be a lot like when your bus driver hits the brakes hard and you go flying into the other bus drivers. This sudden collision of the tectonic plates would cause massive earthquakes along the plate boundaries all around the world. These quakes would destroy buildings, roads, and bridges. Electricity, phone lines, and water systems would be severed. Ultimately, millions of lives would be lost, and millions of more people would be displaced. Now, as devastating as these earthquakes would be, the damage would just be getting started. With the disappearance of our magnetic field, you would be exposed to dangerous cosmic radiation that would bombard the surface of our planet. These high-energy particles from the sun would interact with the abundance of nitrogen and oxygen in our atmosphere, and this would destroy our protective ozone layer, allowing more UV radiations to reach the surface. Combining these solar rays and UV radiations would be enormously harmful to all life on Earth. It would damage your DNA, leading to mutations and cancer. And the halting of the core would also make navigating the globe more difficult. You should have a good trail map for your next camping trip, because compasses would be totally useless. All kinds of migratory animals would lose their way too. Birds flying south would get lost and freeze to death, while sea turtles would never find their way back to beaches where they lay their eggs. The earthquakes caused by the sudden stoppage of the core would have already done significant damage to the power infrastructure around the world. But the lack of a magnetic field would continue to disrupt things even more. The solar radiation bombarding the surface would damage all kinds of electronic devices and threaten our power grids. You would end up losing power more often, maybe even permanently. But you don't have to worry about a catastrophe like this. This study, which implied that the core has stopped and we're all doomed, was a little overhyped. Scientists didn't even talk about the outer core. No, they just meant the inner core, which rotates independently from the rest of the planet. It doesn't stop or reverse its rotation. It just moves slower and faster, as it has done for billions of years of our planet's existence. Thank you for watching this video, and we hope it has helped you to better understand what would happen if the Earth suddenly stopped rotating. Let us know in the comments. What are your thoughts about this? See you in the next video. Please subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to get new updates.